I'd like to call the village board meeting to order. If you would stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everyone that's here tonight, and welcome everyone watching at home. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Present.
Trustee Gadd?
Present.
Trustee Kazam?
Present.
Trustee Marfell?
Present.
Trustee Wigginton?
Present.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Present.
All right, everyone's here. Next, item 4 is approval of the minutes from the Board of Trustees meeting on June 15th, 2021. I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. All right. Announcements, just things are going well. We had a nice roundtable meeting discussion today. We had a public hearing just prior to this meeting. A lot happening, and I'll let Trustee Weisenberg and Trustee Kazam later on in their reports explain what happened today. But a lot of good events going on in Tower Park, so please pay attention to the village website and calendar, and that will keep you updated on all the upcoming events. We would be at comments from the audience. If there's anyone here tonight that would like to address the board, please come forward to the podium and give your name and address, and try and keep your remarks under 5 minutes. Yes, sir. Welcome.
Mr. Mayor, Chief, Trustees, thank you for your time. My name is Brian Gorsuch. I'm with the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. I wanted to read you about, we've asked for permission for Tower Park on October 9th for an event. It's our 75th anniversary celebration, Bike Your Way for MS kickoff. And I want to explain what this really is all about, much more than just a fundraising event. So, Bike Your Way for MS is a series of cycling rides and events for every cyclist in Peoria community supporting Bike MS, Tour de Farms, the National Multiple Sclerosis Society event held in St. Charles, Illinois. The CICC is partnered with Bike Peoria, Left-Handed Brewery, which is a national sponsor of Bike MS, to help raise awareness and funds for National Multiple Sclerosis Society and Bike MS. So throughout 2021 and 22 and beyond, Bike Your Way for MS will be hosting cycling fundraising events, training rides, community rides throughout the communities of the Rock Island Trail and the Tri-County area, all while raising awareness of MS at the same time promoting health and cycling in our communities. We would love everyone's involvement as Bike Your Way for MS lays the groundwork and hopes to bring the largest cycling series in the world right here to the Rock Island Trail. The National Multiple Sclerosis Society periodically evaluates where to hold the largest cycling fundraising series in the world. Based on where there is significant participation in community events, funds raised, we have a unique opportunity here in Central Illinois with the Rock Island Trail. As an MS patient and very active volunteer in every aspect of the MS Society, we're all about volunteerism and about giving back to our community along with the organization that has been there every step of the way, my journey with multiple sclerosis. So it will take the state, local, and municipalities and the private sector to bring Bike MS to the Rock Island Trail. We're looking for motivated cyclists, non-cyclists to get involved. We're forming committees specifically for cycling events and have many seats to fill. We ask Central Illinois businesses to add a corporate cycling team to their social equity programs, considering sponsoring an individual's family and friends team. The more teams and participants from Central Illinois at Bike MS Tour de Farms in 2022, the sooner Bike MS Rock Island Trail will be a reality. So with all the moving parts involved with Bike MS, the CICC Bike Your Way for MS initiative is one more step closer to stopping MS, restoring what's been lost, and ending MS forever, all while laying the groundwork in hopes to bring Bike MS to the Rock Island Trail. So in addition to Bike Your Way for MS Cycling Series, the Central Illinois Community Council has partnered with Marcellus Somerville Family Foundation, Sovereign Grace Missionary Baptist Church, Build Peoria to assist the development of Potent Gratitude Park. The Central Illinois Community Council of the National Multiple Sclerosis Society has committed to raising awareness of MS, promoting cycling and health and safety in Peoria's underserved communities, along with assisting in raising funds for bikes, helmets, locks, training and bike safety and wrecks for the underserved communities of Peoria. Excuse me, folks, I get emotional thinking about it every time, so thank you. That's all I have to say for this. If you have any questions about what we're trying to do, I'm here to answer them for you.
Thank you for all your efforts in this worthy cause, sir. I'm sure we're going to approve this. This is on the agenda later on tonight, I think, for approval. So we appreciate all you're doing, and we look forward to a successful event.
Thank you. Thank you. Get your bikes ready, folks.
Okay. We're still at comments from the audience. Any other comments from the audience? Anyone here tonight want to address the board? Comments going once, twice? Comments are closed. We'd be at item 7, a presentation of a proclamation to schooners for 40 years of service. Am I going to need this, Gabby? If he comes up with me. So tonight we have Greg Gebhardt, the owner of Schooners and Gebbies, and Bob Caruso, the longtime manager of Schooners. These two are the icons, I think, of, there's a lot of people in the bar and restaurant business here in Peoria Heights that we could talk about, but these are two of the best. And I've got a proclamation for both of you, but we had a little fun with this. But before I read the proclamation, I just want to say that I've known these two gentlemen for a long, long time. And there's no, I can't think of anyone that has a bigger heart than Greg Gebhardt and Bob. And when people in the community have experienced difficulty, whether they've experienced loss, whether they've experienced hard times, Greg and Bob have been first on the scenes in providing friendship and food. And there's not a lot of bars and restaurants that can say they've got employees that have worked for you for 40 years. And how long has Bob been affiliated with Schooners?
A year.
About a year.
No.
I knew I needed the gavel. Can someone, Dustin, will you bring me the gavel down here?
He's still employed. He's a consultant.
A consultant. Well, they make more money as consultants, as you know. But the food that Gebby's been serving, his whole life has been about service. He spent time in the U.S. military and in the Army. He spent time as a police officer, and then he went into serving people in another way in terrific food and hospitality. So if I may read this, and again, I had a little fun with it, okay? So this is a proclamation in honor of Schooners and Greg Gebby Gebhardts. Whereas Greg Gebby Gebhardts opened his Schooners Restaurant and Bar in Peoria Heights in 1981 and has outlasted the vast majority of his competitors in the 40 years since. Whereas Gebby was a wee lad of 33 when he started and miraculously, given a steady diet of tenderloins and sudsy beverages, has made it to the ripe age of, well, you can do the math, giving hope to barstool philosophers everywhere. Whereas Gebby has served his country with great valor and uncommon heroism while in the U.S. Army in Vietnam before deciding to devote his life's work to battling, make that battering than frying many a barnyard fowl, taking no prisoners among them on a drive called War Memorial. Whereas Gebby developed a fondness for morel mushrooms that he finally took on the shape of one. just to show his kinship with the elusive, if delectable, fungi that have satisfied the appetites of so many schooners patrons over the years. Whereas Gebby has long regaled his customers with tales as tall as his beer is cold, providing comic relief, while manager and fellow Spalding Academy classmate Bob Caruso, thank God, kept the books and the place open. Whereas Gebby is known for his legendary generosity, contributing to countless causes for those in need, whereas Gebby has long been a kind and caring boss, referring to his employees as family and keeping them for longer than most in the industry, whereas Greg Gebby Gebhardt's one-time Catholic schoolboy, who no doubt prompted many a nun to say a Hail Mary in his name, former Peoria police officer, daring entrepreneur, has turned out to be such a decent soul, leaving us in Peoria Heights with the timeless, beloved local landmark that is his and now son Brad's schooners, and making this great village even better by his presence. We, the Village Board of Peoria Heights, proclaim July 16th to 18th as Gebby Weekend and encourage Central Illinois to join us in celebration of the 40-year anniversary of schooners. May it long live. Gebby, you are officially an icon, and we hoist a frosty mug to you. Thank you and congratulations.
No, Where, is Brad here? Oh, Bobby is.
Bobby, come on up here, guys.
Brad?
Oh, good guy.
Bobby?
You guys were here
I'll
late.
fade to the back.
Where you going? You guys do it too.
I've got to honestly say, when we opened in 1981, I went to try and get a loan at a bank, and they said, no, we can't do it. Of course, I'd never experienced that. And I finally got a loan. I can't remember the bank, but it was where PNC was. It's closed right now. And if it wasn't for the people, we do not call. You're not a number at Schooners or Gebby's. You are not. You're family. And if you got a problem, let's sit down and talk about it. And I'm so happy. If it wasn't for Bob Caruso, Sadie Nash, Dennis McQuillan, I don't know if it would happen. And my son is going on the second generation. Bobby runs Gebby's, and I couldn't be so proud. It's just outstanding. The only thing that I wish, and by the way, if anybody wants a job, we certainly got application. You don't even have to fill it out an application. Just come on in. But where'd Bob go? This is going to be the second generation. Bob, how long ago did you retire?
Just yesterday.
He hasn't retired. He's still a consultant. I've never used that word. I don't even know how. But that's the second generation. I love him as much as God. I love this gentleman the same way. And Bob. And if it wasn't for good people and people that patronize us, we couldn't do it. Thank you very much. And it is a pleasure, Mayor and Councilman, to be here in Peoria Heights. There's no question. I can't remember who did it, but I don't even know if I remembered if we were in Peoria Heights. And all of a sudden somebody came up and said, your t-shirt says Peoria, Illinois. And I said, oh, well, they don't say Peoria, Illinois anymore. Thank you, Mayor. And
Thank you, Gebby. All right. right, next would be trustee reports. The first is Administration and Finance, Trustee DeVore.
Thank you, Mayor. So a couple weeks ago, this board did a strategic planning session on a Saturday. It was very successful for us. We were able to really outline some top goals that we want to accomplish and try to figure out some ways to accomplish them within the next 2 years. I think we're working well to continue to follow up on that. We already have our next planning session on the calendar so that we can just keep moving forward to make sure that we're accomplishing our goals, moving forward. So that's all I have today.
Thank you. Anything else, Dustin? All right, Facilities, Trustee Gett.
Thank you, Mayor. Last Wednesday, the fan and the air conditioner up here went out, and it started getting warm, and Chief Sutton managed to get a hold of the company. They, air mailed it or got it here quick. We got it taken care of. Haven't gotten the bill yet, but I'm sure it's worth it because you really don't have any windows to open up in here, and I'm sure it got warm. So that's all I got to report.
Thank you, Trustee Gett. Next is Economic and Community Development, Trustee Kazan.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, as Trustee DeVore said, we completed our strategic planning meeting a few weeks ago, and one of the things that we decided to prioritize was housing and neighborhoods. Today, Trustee Weisenberg and I and Mayor Phelan and others attended our first of many, hopefully, roundtable conversations with stakeholders in the area, realtors, also different investors who have invested specifically in single-family dwellings, not multi-use or apartment type complexes. And we were able to have a very informative conversation about how to proceed, why they're investing in Peoria Heights, what we can do to help them as a community, how to create a very healthy balance between ownership, rentals, and commercial endeavors like VRBOs and Airbnbs. So it was a great conversation. I think if Trustee Weisenberg has anything to add, he can add that. Okay. But that
We'll
was,
go to him next if,
sure. Yeah.
is that all of your report,
That's
Beth?
my report, yeah.
All right, Trustee Weisenberg, go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor. I think Trustee Kazan pretty much covered it on the housing meeting we had today. I think it was constructive, and I look forward to future meetings. This past Saturday, the Village of Peoria Heights hosted the Together We Play fundraiser at Tower Park. It was a great success. Thanks to everyone that was involved to help that event be such a resounding success. I know we raised quite a bit of money with the police department. I haven't heard the amount yet from St. Thomas, but it was a great event. The Star Wars characters were here. We had a Wookiee running around. It was great. We had a blast. But other than that, Mayor, I don't have anything else.
Thanks for all your work on that. I know that's not an easy endeavor, and you helped a lot on that, and I saw you and Trustee Wigginton both with your wallets out, and Administrator Sutton also had a whole lot of things that he donated, so I saw all of you there at that event. Okay, Public Works, Trustee Marfell.
I have nothing to report, sir. I don't know if Chris and Mike have anything, but I have nothing to report.
I just want to take a second and recognize our Public Works guys, as well as all the ladies in the administration, for stepping up last week and picking up some slack that happened in our departments. Just wanted to thank them.
All right. Okay. Public Safety, Trustee Wigginton.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So to touch on what Trustee Weisenberg had mentioned earlier, and I appreciate, again, your efforts. I think the event at Tower Park was a real success. If my two daughters have anything to say about it, they sure did enjoy it. We did raise quite a bit of funds, and I think one man in particular, Chief Sutton, who donated a lot of memorabilia, and I think the police department has to thank for that. I know both Trustee Weisenberg and I purchased some of those items. I think the total came in around $11.52. So that was a real success for St. Thomas and Together We Play. So congratulations, Trustee Weisenberg, and congratulations to St. Thomas. I think we'll present the St. Thomas when they are here at the next meeting, from what I understand. Some other special things for that, I think Barb at Exhibit A Gallery right here in the Heights helped frame some of those memorabilia. So that was, and yep, so Slowhand, Robbie over at Poor Brothers as well. I want to thank them here in the Heights as well. It was really takes a village, and I think that came through with the event. So congratulations again to the neighborhood parks, Trustee Weisenberg and Trustee Kazam. On the, I think the only thing from the fire department that I'm aware of, I think since our last meeting, since our full board meeting, there's been a parade, and I think the good turnout from the fire department as well. So I think everything's on the up and up.
Anything else, Chief, on that? Okay. All right, we would be at old business. Any old business coming before the board?
I have a question. Can I ask an update on something? Do we have an update on the composting kiosk?
I really wish that we did.
Okay.
Both Sarah and I have been working on this diligently. We actually have received the invoice from Better Earth Logistics and given that to the county board, and we should be getting that soon. I realize this has actually taken a lot longer than we had hoped, but it is a priority.
Thank you.
Any other old business? Hearing none, we'll move right into new business. The first is approval of Resolution 2021-02, a resolution of support for the Village of Peoria Heights, Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity Community Development Block Grant Housing Rehabilitation Application. This is a joint resolution from Neighborhoods and Economic Development, so I would ask Trustee Kazam and Trustee Weisenberg for a motion and a second.
I make a motion.
I second.
All right, would one of you set this up, please?
Sure. Earlier this evening, we had a public hearing regarding this this resolution for Peoria, the Village of Peoria Heights to apply for a grant, a block grant that will help support residential homes in Peoria Heights. We should be hearing, so this is a resolution for us to apply for the grant. If we are awarded the grant, we will hear about that at late winter, early spring, and then people can apply and we will be able to notify them as to whether or not they have been awarded the grant. I don't know if Trustee Weisenberg wants to add anything to that.
No.
Okay.
And for those of you who were not here for the public hearing, we had a very nice turnout for the public hearing, which is encouraging, so thanks to both of you for your work on this. Are there any comments or discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Marfel?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
That passes. Next, we would be at approval of a Business Development District Facade Beautification Grant application by Roof Tiger. Trustee Kazam, I'd ask for a motion to approve that.
I make a motion to approve.
In a second?
Second.
I have it. Go ahead.
So Roof Tiger is applying for a BDD grant opportunity. They are asking for $7,900 approximately, and this is for exterior signage for both Roof Tiger and Solar Panther.
Questions?
Are they the same company, I assume?
I think they're owned by the same people, so yes. Mhm.
Okay.
I have a question. So when they would install either solar panels or new roofs, are they BDD generating, is this a BDD generating business?
Well, they're selling, yeah, I believe so, because they're selling their panels and installing and also selling roofing and installing, so they do generate. No?
So,
I should have asked Stephanie.
sorry. So depending, it would depend. Like the labor itself usually is not sales tax. The equipment should be.
Yes.
Okay.
But I will talk to the owners about that and make sure that they are doing BDD tax correctly, which I think is probably what you're most interested in.
Yeah, and that's exactly right, Stephanie. I am, and I think we had talked a little bit about this, which is actually going to come up later in the meeting, but I think that ship has sailed. I think if we are going to have a BDD contribution, that businesses taking advantage of the BDD funds should be participating in the BDD as well,
Should be generating.
generating BDD funds. So I am happy to hear that when they sell a solar panel or they sell an asphalt shingle, that they'll be putting that, toward.
Just not the labor.
Just not the labor.
That's a very good point, thank you.
Because they do sell a product, right? So
Yes.
we should collect sales tax and,
Yes.
Yeah, just the
With it.
labor wouldn't, because the
Right.
service part of it doesn't have a tax, it's just
Right.
the materials.
But there's some.
Anyone else? Okay, if you're ready for the
I have to
question.
actually talk to the owner specifically.
Okay, are you selling them out of your location? So you're
Oh,
selling?
welcome, sir.
I'm
Please
sorry.
come forward and tell us who you are, and if you can answer that, great.
Hi, my name is Ben Morrow. I'm the owner of Roof Tiger and Solar Panther down the street. Hey, good to be here.
So did you overhear, were you in the room when they were asking the questions? So
I just heard the tail end of that response.
So the question posed is, are you selling your product out of your Peoria Heights location so that thereby generating the BDD tax on that product?
That's a good question. I don't know how I'm taxed by the city in terms of my product versus labor. I know labor is not taxed locally, but that's a question for somebody smarter than me in that category.
Well, we'll find that answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I hope not. Maybe, I don't know.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Anyone else?
Well, currently and I appreciate your candid answer. I would too. But yeah, I think that there's no requirement built in for it currently, but I think that's something that this board needs to revisit at some point.
All right, well, you have two options. You can vote on this, or you can defer it. So if you need more information.
There's no requirement, so I'm happy to move forward.
Okay.
I have something. Council, can I vote on this? Well, just because of my building, my business? It's okay to move forward?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then Stephanie, on the BDD totals, is any of the, where we are on the treasurer's report, is that money that's sitting there right now already being accounted for something else, or that's where the balance would be prior to this project?
Okay, so that is a balance literally of the bank account as the end of June. Some of
Okay.
that money is obligated, so we do have the development agreements with MK and Treskers and multiple other agreements that we have to transfer portions of BDD taxes to them per those
Sure.
development agreements. We do that once a year. So there are funds in there that are obligated. That full $500,000 is not available to spend. We're not talking about, that 300,000 of it is obligated. The majority of it is available for the board to spend.
Perfect.
Does that
Okay.
answer?
Absolutely. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, Trustee DeVore, I was going to bring up that when we get to the treasurer's report. But Stephanie, if that amount can that be allocated in, interest is, whatever interest is now, but it just sits there and I saw it's in checking, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Is there a way to make that more revenue generating than just sitting there?
Yes, there is. That's kind of a complicated conversation about how we would want to invest that and what we could do with that and liquidity versus access because, obviously we need to keep a certain amount of it liquid and also then it becomes an issue of different funds paying for different things. So how much do we want liquid in each fund?
Right.
I do review the finances and essentially keep an eye on that to try to balance the availability of interest and what we're making on the treasurers or on the funds versus keeping access to what we need.
And interest now, I don't think.
And honestly,
I don't know
that's
where
what currently the decision that keeps coming down is that with the interest rates what they are, liquidity is much more valuable than what we could get out of putting them into, say, CDs.
Sure.
Or we are limited in what and how we can invest the funds.
I understand.
And also, remember when we discussed this a couple of years ago about keeping quite a bit of that money where it's at, is because we wanted to implement a housing grant with the BDD funds. Remember that, and that's one reason I continue to talk with Steve Klein, is that we really don't want to roll that out until we get enough money in there for bigger projects. So I think that's one reason we want to keep as much as we can in there. I mean, and we have the facade grant and everything else, but I guess the long-term goal is the housing, grant is what we want to roll out here, I would say, within the next year. So I think that's one reason that we've taken this approach.
And another good point, Trustee Wigginton, and the board is always able to pass fiscal policy too if you choose to do so in the future.
Thank you.
So these facade grants, are they still vetted by the BDD committee or council or board?
No, if you remember, Trustee Weisberg, last year we discussed that, first of all, the committee was advisory only.
Right.
We could not get a quorum. We had a lot of issues with getting a quorum. So speaking with Steve Klein, our consultant, he said what a lot of communities do, well, they'll just have 2 open meetings, annually. So businesses come in and, we can discuss funds and what it's being used for and give them updates. And I think that's the approach we're using, because last year, I think we had to cancel the last 6 meetings until we came up with the COVID relief program. Once we did that, we had a little bit more better attendance because we were handing out money. But as far as, in talking with all the board members, they felt comfortable with this. I think that this administration showed, great efforts in using that money and pushing it back into the community. So I don't think that was the issue it was, 4 years ago. So right now, we're just presenting that to the board and moving forward. So,
okay.
Yep.
I just want to add one thing to clarify something, Trustee Wigginton. If a business is in the BDD and they are selling merchandise, they're obliged to charge the 1%. So if he's selling out of his store, then he's passing that cost on to clients.
Okay.
Okay.
Double check.
Yeah.
Madam Clerk, call the roll. All right.
Mr. Morrow.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, cool. I know it sounds a bit odd to have a construction company in Peoria Heights, but the whole goal of our company is to be a staple in the community and to have trustworthy respect from people in this area. And so one of the ideas that my dad and we started the company together. We could have moved into a commercial facility outside and been in the middle of nowhere, but we really wanted to integrate ourselves with the community. So this point had come up in the beginning of the 1% tax because they wanted people moving in that would pay that. But I want to be, our company wants to be a staple. And so when people go to 12 Bar or to Edge, they see a roofing company and get curious. And if you've ever seen our building, we're not an average kind of rough around the edges roofing company. We're a little bit different. So I hope that plays into this as well, that we're here for the long term. We're building a long, sustainable company. And that's what our idea of business. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore.
Aye.
Trustee Gatt.
Aye.
Trustee Kazam.
Aye.
Trustee Marfell.
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton.
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
All right, that passes. Next is approval of ordinance 2021-1657, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of an addendum to the TIF District redevelopment agreement by and between the Village of Peoria Heights and P.H. Samuel LLC. Trustee Kazam, I'd ask for a motion to approve that.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
All right, go ahead, Trustee Kazam.
I'm going to let council actually explain this, but this is, as it says, an execution, an addendum to the TIF district on Samuel for the redevelopment as it pertains to the burial of electrical lines.
Exactly.
Okay.
If you recall at the last meeting, we discussed the P.H. Samuel development, and the fire chief raised the concern that they can't access at least the upper floors of the building due to the power lines along Samuel. We discussed that the village wanted to rectify that situation, even though we're not at the point yet where the infrastructure improvements have been triggered under the redevelopment agreement. This was the clarification that we talked about, that when we don't have the pricing yet, but when the village does that small portion of the work, it's clear that that is being done under the redevelopment agreement as part of the infrastructure. So it's really just a simple clarification. It's the last page of the several pages of documents that came with the ordinance, so pretty straightforward.
Questions or discussion?
How do we pay for this up because we'll be paying for it up front, the work, correct? Did I understand that correctly? So is that coming out of the TIF funds?
It certainly can, and it is absolutely a TIF eligible expense. It should come from the TIF fund if the funds are available, and that's a Stephanie question.
The current policy that I am operating under is that the TIF funds, because if you look at like the actual, okay, so this is a little, if you look at the treasurer's report for the TIF funds, you'll see that any one of those individual funds does not really, in terms of development agreements, have that much money. The largest one is TIF 1, which this is not part of. TIF 3 is not that much, and honestly, at this point, a lot of those funds, the ones that do have one, TIF 1 looks like it has a lot, but a lot of that is basically going to get transferred out at the end of the year because of development agreements. So once those changes are made, there's not a lot there. As a result, the policy that I'm currently operating under is that the general fund pays for all TIF expenses except for the reimbursements to the school out of the property taxes. It's then booked by our accountants and myself against what is a liability account that basically is a giant IOU for each one of the 3 TIF funds, so that at any point when we get to a point where we can start repaying ourselves, that there is enough in the fund to both do economic development agreements and also start to pay ourselves back what we're owed. We can start basically pulling those IOUs down. So for this particular fund, I will probably pay it out of the general fund and then continue to increase the IOU. Obviously, the board and Chief Sutton are free to direct me to do otherwise.
I mean, I have a feeling we'll discuss this more once we get a bill for it, though, like how this will all work, or no, we will just move forward? What are we doing?
We're going to have another discussion when we get the pricing.
Okay.
We just didn't want to get down the path too far and then have the discussion about, by the way, this is work that's being done by the village as part of the village's infrastructure obligations under the agreement. We wanted that cleared from the outset.
This issue has generated lots of meetings that you and the administrator and the village engineer have been involved in.
Sure.
And I think, council, you have actually worked with Ameren to reduce price?
Absolutely. It's not just Ameren, it's Comcast and AT&T, because it's all of those overhead lines or, cable, telephone, and everything. The village engineer, Alicia Herman's worked hard, at trying to get these numbers. We expect them any day, literally any day, but we're not obligated to do anything until I bring that back and administration brings it back to this board for approval. So by entering into this agreement, this amendment, it's really just a clarification. It doesn't obligate us to spend any money until we have a plan in place and you guys approve the numbers.
And remember, this was spurred by a public safety issue.
Sure, I mean, I want to approve this,
Right.
I just was curious about like
Right.
the logistics of how this is gonna work. Can we afford it? Like, I don't wanna have to take a bond to pay for it, right? Like, how, just can we afford it?
Yeah, it's not, well, I just make that point because it's not an option. Once the fire chief stated that it's definitely a public safety issue, I think that's when we had to look at all options. And Mark's done a great job at getting to a point where we need to be, so.
Yeah, and I would agree. I don't like the way this unfolded, but because it's a public safety issue, we felt we had to expedite it, but our TIFs are and have been pay-as-you-go. I felt that it's the developer's responsibility, but we can't argue about that when public safety is at risk, so.
Sure, agreed.
But a good question about how we're going to pay for this, and I think we'll be able to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gatt?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Marfel?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Next is approval of a special use permit by Davenport LLC for a digital electronic multiple message sign. Trustee DeVore, I'd ask for a motion to approve that.
I make a motion to approve the special use permit.
And a second, please.
Second.
Go ahead, Trustee DeVore.
So this is just what we talked about at our last meeting with Mr. Davenport and his digital sign. The special use permit now includes the 6 specifications we placed on it, and we just need to approve it.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gatt?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Marfel?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Next, approval of ordinance 2021-1658, an ordinance amending Title IV, Chapter 1 of the Village Code of the Village of Peoria Heights for the purpose of adding a new classification of liquor license for the sale of milk-based dessert products containing alcohol. Trustee DeVore asks for a motion to approve that.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2021-1658.
And a second?
Second.
All right, Trustee DeVore, go right ahead.
Okay, so we have a business that's wanting to add alcohol to dessert products, but it didn't qualify in any of the liquor license, so council has provided us with a new classification of liquor license that we need to approve. So I'll let you explain.
Absolutely, you did a good job. That's it in a nutshell. This is a very unique business model for a business that's selling alcohol, not in any other traditional format, out of an ice cream parlor. And I think it was leased in the online PJ Star today, if not the print
Chris,
version,
come on,
which I don't get.
welcome.
Yeah, go ahead and come on up.
Chris McCall, a local attorney who's also the investor in this business, and you stopped by, brought me some ice cream a couple of weeks ago. We had a great talk. You're located in Peoria Heights. We got council and Trustee DeVore on it quickly, and you're here tonight, so welcome.
That's correct, thank you. I am a minority owner for Polarte. I own 30% of the shares of the business out of 100, and what we're looking to do is have alcohol infused in our ice cream, so that way we can sell Cabernets and margarita ice cream, and there will be some cream-based ice cream along with some slushies and whatnot. So I don't think there will be a public safety concern. Let's face it, if you drink, I should say if you ingest Fireball-based ice cream and you get drunk off that, we're gonna have to roll you to the hospital. So I don't think there will be a safety concern, but I wanted to bring something that will be unique to the village, that will actually be very unique to Central Illinois. I haven't seen anything like this, not even in Chicago. So we will also have popsicles we're gonna sell, and hopefully we will be able to have champagne and popsicles, and you all can celebrate the new year in a different but unique festive way.
Well, and I'm really excited to get this passed and get you here in the village of Peoria Heights for a lot of reasons, not only for your product and the ice cream, but knowing you for a long time, you want to get active in the community, and as a longtime local attorney, you bring a whole lot of business experience, so we're looking forward to having you in the community and seeing you every day.
And I look forward to that as well. My grandparents lived in the Heights for years off of Paris Street, so I actually grew up around here, and I learned to crossing the street to go to Alwyn's, and that's a true story. And I own two businesses in Peoria, McCall offices and Holiday McCall, and I look forward to getting involved with the village and getting to know all of you better. Thank you.
Questions, trustees? Council, thanks again for your quick action on that.
You bet.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore.
Aye.
Trustee Gett.
Aye.
Trustee Kazam.
Aye.
Trustee Marfel.
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton.
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
All right, that passes. Next is approval of ordinance 2021-1659, an ordinance regulating push cart sales. Trustee DeVore,
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2021-1659.
I have a motion, a second, please.
Second.
All right, go ahead, Trustee DeVore.
Okay, so this is an ordinance about getting push carts or non-motorized carts for to sell food items. We don't have an ordinance for that, so this is establishing how we're going to move forward for businesses that would like to apply for a license to be able to sell food items out of their carts. And
Chris, if you'd come back, this is related to you, so please explain.
Yes. In Mexico City, of course, Polarte is a Mexican-based ice cream facility. In Mexico City, you often have individuals that drive carts, and they go up and down Mexico City, and they sell whatever product they have, street foods, ice creams. We're looking to sell ice cream as we go up and down Prospect, and instead of the ice cream man who's in a van, we're going to be on a push cart. That's what we're looking to do.
Nice.
Council, anything else you want to add to this?
No, it's
Conversation.
balancing a lot of competing interests. There's a lot of activity on the sidewalks, as everybody knows. I don't need to tell you that. So it's a question of where, when, and how, and it's up to your judgment as to how you want to regulate that. This was put together to get the talk, the discussion moving, but it's really a policy decision.
And non-alcoholic ice cream. We will not use the push.
Thank you for that.
Yes, we will not use the push cart to sell popsicles with booze in them.
Correct.
So in drafting this, we want to be flexible, but also give preference to bricks and mortar businesses within the
Correct.
village. Am I leaving anything else?
No.
So
No.
trustees, please go ahead if you have any questions for council or for Mr. McCall.
So it looks like there's a built-in discretionary for the administrator to, is that on a case-by-case basis, or is that on
Only
a?
for public properties, for events, and I think Tower Park is probably the only location where that would occur. So on an event-by-event basis, they can get consent from the administrator.
On the streets or the sidewalks?
To be on public property, so anywhere in the park, whether it's on the sidewalk on Prospect or anywhere located in the park.
Okay. Is there I understand we've got one business in mind, but
Correct.
as far as, going back to the well.
Certainly, that's a good point, and all the more reason why we want somebody policing it, so that, if we've already got 2 vendors and you get a third, we may give Chief Sutton here some instruction as to what we want and what we don't want when it comes to these, and you don't know what's gonna happen, but at least that way, we've got some level of control over it. Understand, this is only public property, so sidewalks and the park. Private property is completely up to the private property owner, and our peddler ordinance already addresses that. And if you don't want somebody on your property, you have every right as a property owner to say, no, not here. So in other words, if you wanted to set up in somebody's parking lot or at Heritage Square or somewhere like that, Chris knows, they gotta get permission from the property owner. If the property owner says that's okay, then, hey, that's fine. And that would be perfectly acceptable under this. We're here only dealing with the public property, which is basically the sidewalks.
Anyone else? Anything from you? All right, Madam Clerk?
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Marfil?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
That passes. Good luck, Mr. McCall.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Work with you all.
Okay, next is discussion of vacating an alley from War Memorial Drive to Division Avenue between Monroe Avenue and Faber Avenue. Mr. Seghetti, I know you're here. If you'd like to come forward, please. Trustee DeVore, would you like to set this up?
Sure. We started to discuss this in our last meeting about needing to vacate this alley for development to potentially go in. We did have some concerns with garbage pickup, and we did hear back from G&O, and they are completely flexible with us doing this. They feel that they could still pick up street side, or they could begin to pick up on the street side and things like that. So I thought we were kind of in agreement on it, but we're here to talk about it some more.
Okay. Well, I'm Michael Seghetti, I'm the attorney for the developer. I assume you've all seen the site plan. The alley runs, my client has the property on either side of the alley under contract. The development is a gas station and convenience store, and the alley runs right through the middle of the proposed project. So obviously, in order to do the project, the alley would have to be vacated. We have not gone forward. The site plan that you have does not have a lot of detail because there are 2 threshold issues that we need to make sure that we can resolve before going forward with the project, one of which is IDOT approval, which we're working on, and I don't think we anticipate any problem with that, but you have to go through the process. And the other, of course, is this alley vacation. So we wanted to get your input, address any questions you might have any discussion that's necessary, and see if your inclination is to go forward with that.
So this, if I may interject before we take questions, this is a little bit unusual in how we do things here, but Mr. Seghetti, representing his client, wanted to know first before they went through zoning, and again, this will be a whole series of events that will have to occur, go through ZBA, come back to the village board for approval. they wanted to know before they acquire the property and invest a lot of money, is the village board open to vacating the alley? Because that is critical to you moving forward on the development. Is that right, sir?
Yes.
Okay. So please go ahead
So-
with any questions you may have.
I have a question. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go right ahead.
When we have vacated other areas, what have we charged for that?
Just legal fees.
We set up an amount that, it's relatively nominal, but
Right.
it's based largely on the amount of work that I need to do.
Correct.
And with folks that come in and say, hey, I want that alley, what do I need to do? Where I need to hold their hand a lot more, I wind up spending more time. That's not gonna be the case here.
Okay.
This is not his first rodeo. So he knows that we'll need a plat, that shows what we're vacating, and I'm sure I'm gonna get that plat and it'll be fine. So my work will be minimal on this, and the amount of land at issue, some of these vacations that we've done have been, more or less in terms of square footage of real estate. And it's just a gut check amount, but in this case, it'd be $1,000, $1,500, not anything huge, and I'm sure it's not going to be
Not nearly as much as Trustee Wiggington had to pay.
Exactly. He set the bar very high.
Mr. Scaghetti, I just want to make one point. The board has not seen the site plan. They're aware of the alley, but the only site plan I had was such a bird's eye view. I'm not sure if you could tell if it was either Prospect or Galena Road. So, but they have not seen the site plan, but they are aware of the alley that we're referencing.
Okay. I brought copies. If you want to, I can be happy to pass them out if you want to take a look.
Yes, please.
So, should we approve the vacation of the alley before IDOT approves the access?
It's not an action item tonight, it's really up just for discussion.
No, I understand, but should we wait until IDOT approves it before we vacate the alley?
It's a chicken and an egg issue.
That's exactly what it is, and we're going to have to figure out how we set this up, because you can't vacate the alley until you know there's a project, and we can't go forward with the project until we know the alley's going to get vacated. But we'll work out, if we know what the board's inclination is, we can work out the mechanics of getting that done.
Council, what would happen if we voted to vacate, now, I understand this isn't a vote, but what if we voted to vacate the alley and then IDOT won't approve it?
The vacation, we can come up with something that would make the vacation, I'm just thinking out loud, conditioned on IDOT approval and they pull building permits.
Well, it'll all be contingent on IDOT approval and ZBA approval and future village board approval?
All of the above, exactly. I think they're looking for some assurance that the alley will be vacated, so they don't have to, you can check that box and move on with the other issues.
So do we have to actually vote to vacate the alley first?
We
or
will.
Okay.
We will. When it gets to that point, we'll have an ordinance like we did at a couple of meetings ago on Duryea, with a plat attached to it that says we hereby vacate this piece of property, subject to payment of whatever that amount is. Again, I'll look at it closely and look at our history and come up with what I think is fair in light of what we've done over the last, 3 or 4 years. And then we adopt the ordinance. And again, it can have conditions on it. Payment of, some compensation, conditioned on they actually get a building permit and go through with the project. But we'll work on that. That'll be something that will come before the board at a future date.
While we're not voting tonight, I hope we are going to arrive at a consensus to direct you.
That's the goal tonight, correct.
So is the building like where, this doesn't have anything to do with the alley, but now that I see the site plan, is like Helping Hands and stuff staying?
Yes.
And it's kind of just coming off to the side of it?
Can you answer that question, Mr. Scaghetti?
I'm sorry?
So the little shopping center that's already there, is that staying?
That is staying.
Okay.
The Greg Florist building would be demolished, but the strip center would stay.
Mr. Scaghetti, and I don't want you to put any cards on the table if you don't have to, but what issues are you worried about as far as IDOT? It looks like you have access off, you're not going to need War Memorial, you have Faber, you have Monroe. which would be the only issue that I could envision there being a problem with. So you have the ability, are there something that I'm missing?
No, and we don't expect any problems. Steve Kerr is working on that with us, and I think he expects that we're going to get the approval, but IDOT is IDOT.
Right.
So again, you have to go through the process, and we need to make sure that we get that because it's going to be required. But
Sure.
yeah, we do not anticipate any issues with that.
You're looking for right in, right out?
I think it's required because of your proximity to the
Yes.
to the highway.
Yes.
Even though you're not direct access onto the highway, I don't see a driveway onto War Memorial. But you are close enough on those side streets
And
through the right of way that they get a say.
And actually, from IDOT's perspective, they'll like this because right now, the alley accesses War Memorial, and that won't, if this goes forward, that won't be the case any longer. So they may view it I'm sure they view that as a positive.
And they've looked at this recently, within the last 18 months, on a different project, so it'll be familiar to them, and I think they will be happy.
That was exactly their stance during the subway relocation, if you remember right.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Is Greg Flores going out of business? Are they going to be moved to another place or?
That's a question for
You
Greg
retired?
Flores, I would think,
Okay.
unless you know the answer to that, or...
I don't know.
Trustee DeVore just told me he's retiring, so it's great business.
This is his retirement.
So we just need to decide if we're willing to move forward to vote on this. I say we take it to a meeting to vote on it. I'm ready to
Same
vote.
here.
Yeah.
So I would ask you, even not for a vote, I would ask all of you tonight to express your yes or no, and everyone's entitled to change your mind, but
No, 'cause that's-
we owe it to this gentleman to please try and give your best answer if you're in favor or not in favor.
Okay, I'm in favor.
So am I.
I am in favor.
So am I.
Yeah, I support, and I think it should be, and I don't mean to drag this on, but I think, as far as vacation and extending lots for our neighborhoods, making the plats larger is the smart thing, and I think for our neighborhoods as well as for our businesses, this is a good idea. So I think I should see more of this, frankly, so.
So are we going to vacate the entire alley?
No.
No.
Go
Just
ahead,
on
Ken.
the property that they own.
Okay.
So we don't have, as in past vacations where you have, one owner that owns on this side and then 3 or 4 homes, like on that 38 lot, they're on the north side. We don't have that kind of situation where we're affecting other people that may want their half of the alley. They own both sides, so they're gonna get the whole thing, and this has all become part of one lot.
Okay. Yeah.
So the alley, the existing alley will be a dead end.
And
It's gonna be all part of the building plans as to how that gets dead ended.
Okay. Yeah, I have no objections.
So, council, can you prepare something for the next time the board meets?
I can, and then as soon as I get the vacation plat, they may not be quite ready for that, but Steve Kerr, again, not his first rodeo either. So we'll get what is necessary, and I'll have it here as soon as I get the vacation plat.
And maybe I was short earlier. So if a business, we do have these tools, the BDD and TIF funds. So if a business did want to move elsewhere within the Village of Peoria Heights, we are able to help them do so. And but what's happening there is really, in my opinion, up to that business owner. Obviously, it appears that they're selling for this development to occur, but we can certainly let that business know that we'd like them to stay in business and stay in Peoria Heights. Anything else we need to do on this, council?
I don't believe so.
Do you have your answer then, Mr. Segretti?
Yes, we do. That's just what we were looking for. And with this feedback now, we'll go full speed ahead with IDOT and try to get that resolved, because as you said, that's the issue right now, as far as how quickly we'll be able to move.
Thank you for being here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next is approval of ordinance 2021-1660, an ordinance amending Title VII, Chapter 2 of the Village Code of the Village of Peoria Heights for the purpose of adding a new subsection 6C addressing parking of boats, trailers, and recreational vehicles. Trustee Wigginton, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
I move to approve ordinance 2021-1660.
And a second, please.
Second.
All right. Go ahead.
Thank you,
Trustee
Mr. Mayor. So we've had several discussions on this matter, and this, I think, is as far as the top-down approach, we got this right from our own citizens, and we have some complaints, and as Chief has said, a lot of our ordinances are complaint-driven, and this is one of them. And I think this addresses some of the complaints that we have received, and I think it solves, I think we've had several discussions on this. It solves some of the public health as well as, unsightly complaints that we get from our constituents.
Discussion?
Yeah, so we had spoken about this a couple meetings. What did we change? Because we already had some of this on the books, didn't we?
Exactly. When we took a look at it, I'm sorry for interjecting, but when we took a look at it, we realized, there's already some restrictions that could be enforced if we choose to enforce them. This was really the only gap, was we want a paved surface and we want it clear that it needs to be, behind. So, I mean, that.
I think and if you read what we had, and Dave, Trustee Marfell and I went back and forth a little bit on this, the wording needed to be a little bit more precise with how it's codified. And I think this does that, and I think gives people a clear route of where things need to be and what they need to be on.
So what if a house doesn't have a paved driveway? What if it's rock?
That would not be compliant.
So they're going to have to pave their driveway if they want to be able to put their boat on it?
That's why we have been discussing this, because these are the complaints that were brought, I believe, to the Neighborhood Watch meeting, not to mention individually to board members. That's why we're having this discussion. And my stance is this, we need to give our department, clear direction on how we want this addressed, because we are getting complaints. There is a little bit misconception, because a lot of that stuff was already on the books, but about 5 or 6 years ago, when things started to get codified, they were not brought over. So there's a little bit of confusion there, especially with officers who have been here a long time. They remember when these ordinances were enacted, but when it was codified, it wasn't brought over. So what we do, like council said, is we need to really clean this up, because we're getting the complaints, we're sending our officers out to address these code enforcement issues, and some of these things are on the books, or not on the books, some were codified, some were not. We really need to give our officers clear direction on how we want these handled. So I thought maybe we could have a roundtable discussion. It started a few weeks ago, and so we could come up with an ordinance to fine tune it. So I know I understand what you're saying, Trustee Weisberg, because a lot of the boats that come to mind in the village, they are on rock. They are on, I don't think, unless I'm wrong, council, at least my view is a hard surface that isn't rock. I mean, that wouldn't be compliant.
Right.
So I'm open, but we just need to give our guys a little better direction.
Right. So what if, I just worry about the guy who's maybe had a rock driveway, which they do exist, and he's had his boat there forever. And now, is he grandfathered in?
No, there is no grandfather clause. When this is adopted, it's adopted. It's like the guy that has the junk vehicle in the back.
No, I understand.
Right, it's the same approach. There's no grandfather clause on these type of ordinances, but.
And I think this has been done before. I mean, I wasn't on the board at the time, but when when this board instituted having a garage door on all garages, I don't think there were any grandfathered in garages in the village.
I asked about it, though.
Correct.
I just worry about, these people have lived here not harming anyone forever. I agree completely that people should take care of their property and properly store their equipment. I agree. But if, someone's had a rock driveway and they have their boat covered and this looks nice, and now suddenly they're on the opposite side of the law.
The only thing I could say that would be a possible compromise is the location of it. I mentioned last time, if they don't protrude out towards the front of the house, if it's in the back of the property, maybe that would be, sufficient? I mean, I don't know. We could carve this up any way, but it's really up to the board, and if we think we need more time on this, we should probably table it and bring it back.
Well, is
Are
there
there-
a way, council, just to retweak that, like a hard surface? I mean, this would be contradictory, pervious and impervious, but
We can use any language that we want here. I went with paved. We could say hard surface. You're going to get, I've had this in other communities, you're going to get people dropping gravel in their side yard.
yeah.
Yeah, that's my
And parking
concern.
their boat. And if you're willing to tolerate that, then you can go with gravel.
That
That's what
defeats the
happens.
purpose of what we're
No,
trying to do
we
here.
don't, we're not willing.
That is what will happen, I can tell you from experience. So by going with paved, somebody's gonna have to park it in their driveway.
Are there discretions allowed on these ordinances? I guess my point is if you get a complaint from somebody, from a neighbor that is complaining because their neighbor's boat is not parked on a hard surface, it's parked on a nice gravel driveway that is clear of weeds and the boat is properly,
When it comes to an ordinance, I mean, the ordinance is what the ordinance is, and you start picking and choosing how you deal with those, and you start to get into other issues. That's my only concern. I don't want to put our department in that position.
Right.
So,
My other concern is, as we move forward and everyone becomes more eco-friendly, I was talking to Chief Sutton about this last week. I read an article in Buffalo, New York, where they're starting to redesign their driveways to where they're grass, but they have more like a honeycomb frame, so that, when it rains, the water drains. So we don't have any of those yet, but I see I just see as more towns like Peoria enact water
For a new business.
runoff fees, if it looks really nice though. I mean, I don't know how they maintain it, but it looks really nice.
I think we could amend this.
That's
though,
the
when
key.
we
I was
get
gonna say,
to
one
money
other
from
comment is, like
driveways.
any ordinance that we adopt, we can adopt a different ordinance at the next meeting. So if this proves to be problematic for whether it's police department enforcement, or people, longtime citizens that aren't causing any problem, and we can always adjust it based on experience. So you can always view any ordinance adoption as a trial run.
Well, I don't think there's any sense of urgency. We adopt this tonight. It's up to all of you. If we can defer it, or we can pass it tonight and adjust it if necessary in the future, but that's your choice.
I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but I feel like, I don't want to table it, but I feel like I feel like there needs to be more to it. Like, we didn't address like the tarp situation. That was a major concern, to have like tarps, sitting water there. It's not a cover that like fully sits on well. I don't want to say they have to have a cover, but if they have a cover, I don't think they should be allowed to use a tarp. And then also, it doesn't address like, it has to be on, like your boat has to be on a trailer. You can't just put like a jet ski in your yard or on a hard surface. I feel like it's happening, so I'm not.
Well, then I'm gonna ask for a motion to defer this until Trustee Wigginton, the administrator, and council can hear your thoughts and bring
I'm
back
sorry.
something that.
I'm sorry. I would support something that said you have to have a tarp on it, because if you don't have a tarp on it, water holds. Boats do hold water if they're just sitting there in your driveway, and it breeds mosquitoes. And I don't know if you've been outside in the evening time here in the Heights, but the mosquitoes, at least on Francis, eat you alive. I don't know who's breeding
So you
them.
would rather have a tarp than not be covered?
I think if they have a recreational vehicle that can hold water, I think it should have to be covered.
Okay, I'm fine if we
Right.
say it has to be covered.
I-
I don't want you to cover it with a bright blue tarp from Menards that's not properly secured, and then it's blowing off in the wind, and then it's getting water in it anyway.
I
would
manufacture a cover.
And I would, this motion, I'm happy to withdraw it too, but I would welcome if you guys want to email me, or I look at my email all the time, and I must be the most unpopular trustee, because, so,
Just
but
wait.
feel free, feel free. Maybe, watch what I say.
I know someone.
But feel free to, if you have some questions, or if you have some additions that I can make, and talk to the chief as well.
I'm looking for a motion to defer. Can I get that?
I'll motion to defer.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, on the deferral, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is deferred until Trustee Wigginton and administration decides to bring this back to us.
Actually, that
Maybe
meeting...
a long time.
That meeting is set up tomorrow, so we'll discuss it.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, we took care of that. Next is approval of ordinance 2021-1661, an ordinance adding a new Chapter 6 to Title 7 of the Village Code to regulate low-speed gas-powered vehicles. Trustee Wigginton?
I move to approve ordinance 2021-1661.
And a second, please?
Second.
All right, go ahead, Trustee Wigginton.
So at the risk, again, of the unpopular trustee presenting something, I will say that this is another issue that has come up from, again, I like to say the top down, so from our constituents to us. And this was voiced again at the Neighborhood Watch meeting, as well as we've had several discussions on this issue. I think this comes from a public safety concern, not just for our citizens, but also for the people that are riding these bicycles. And we want to ensure that they're operated in a safe manner. And one thing that I think is missing in this, and I think this will be a board decision, is what we want to look for in a licensing fee.
Correct. I'm recommending the fee be a $500 annual fee, and as far as the fine structure, I would recommend that following our current fine structure with our current ordinances, and I can get with council on that, what that looks like, what first fine looks like, what second appearance, and then as far as confiscation of the vehicle if it continues to be an issue. But we can work that through council. But I'm recommending the $500 annual fee.
And the way this is drafted, just for discussion purposes, is a one-time registration fee, so we would have to change that to annual, which is easy.
Similar to the solicitation fee.
So this does not include the electric bikes?
It does not.
Now
Okay.
I know that it doesn't include the
I know, because
No,
the reason I bring this up is,
Powered only.
Yeah.
okay.
I just think 500 is kind of high. I don't pay that for my vehicle, so well.
My recommendation is $500 for annual fee.
Yeah.
I think that is, I think one of the reasons for that, Trustee Gett, is that we want to make sure that these are operated responsibly and that we have responsible operators of these. And I think, with that kind of investment, these people care a lot about their gas-powered bicycles. And so they will want to probably pay for that fee if they're so much of a gas bike enthusiast.
So I'm of the opinion that most people that are riding these types of transportation don't have the $500 fee. So what do we do when we encounter a person who's not registered? What happens?
Well, I think one of the discussions was that this only applies, from what I understand, Council, to Village Heights residents applying for this fee. Is that correct?
Yeah,
we can't police
somebody that lives in Peoria that's driving through.
So what's the point of all this?
I raised that point last time.
I think, is this a...
Well, the point of it is we have probably 10 of them that reside in Peoria Heights of these vehicles. And I think, at least the public safety standpoint, it is a deterrent. It's an issue. It's a traffic safety issue. It's a public safety issue. And the reason why I am recommending a $500 annual fee on that is a deterrent. And I'm bent a little bit on the electric cars. I do agree. We have some people here that use that to get to work, and they are responsible. But what we've seen in the police department, the individuals driving these, not so much use them just to go to work, and they aren't abiding by the traffic laws. There are public safety people driving through the Heights, or public safety of the residents here in the Heights. Now, there might be a couple that use them responsibly, but again, I will go back to what Trustee Wigginton said, is this was complaint driven. The Neighborhood Watch was peppered with complaints about them driving down Prospect on the sidewalk, in and out of traffic while they're driving, and I can talk all night about this. We talked about this a year ago. We've been discussing this about a year, and I think it's to the point now, and I can't discuss some of the things that we're seeing from the police department in these vehicles. That's why or this bicycle, that's why I got to this point, so.
And I think to touch on, Chief, this, Mr. Mayor, I think what we have in this is a opportunity to check with those people who may be not village citizens and see if they are. So we'll be able to, I think the police will be able to pull over those vehicles to see if they are, have their proper licenses.
It'd be the same mindset as we do with the individuals that go through our alleys that pick up junk. 10 years ago, we had an issue that people were coming through and just stealing things, and of course, I thought it was junk. So we actually asked them to register with us now. It's kind of the same mindset. If we see one, we'll educate them that we have a new process. You have to register that bike, and they will go on their way, hopefully to the police department, to register their bike. But it's the same mindset we use with the junkers when they come to the Heights. They have to register with us annually. It's the same thing with the solicitors. And it's basically the same template.
And Chief, if say a gas-powered bike goes by an officer will be able to pull over that bike and ask to see if they have the proper registration.
Well, I think something like that would be more of an educational stop.
Okay.
It'd be an educational stop stating that, again, this is complaint-driven, and the reason why we're even discussing this is because we have a big issue on Prospect with these bikes. They're weaving in and out of cars, they're down sidewalks, and I think people are tired of it. So, I get calls, and that's why I brought it to the board. We've been discussing it a year, and if the board decides that they don't want this to happen, or this ordinance they don't want it to happen, then we won't, and we will ignore it. So
I don't have a problem with the ordinance. I'm just think the registration fee is kind of high. And I'm curious, are we going to because I've always wondered, how safe are these things? I mean, is there any kind of regulation that we can?
They're not regulated and they're not safe.
Yeah, well, you see, that's why, going down the road and the thing comes off the bike and.
Well, and Trustee Gett, I think you raise an excellent point, and I think that's what speaks to the need to have this high standard of registration fee, because if someone is willing to pay that fee, they're going to have the finest gas-powered bike, and they're going to want to have a really nice gas-powered bike to pay for that $500 registration fee. So they'll be quite, like I said, the enthusiasts to pay for that.
They are unnecessarily loud.
Yeah, well.
I think that registration fee is going to keep the irresponsible from riding them.
Are we ready to vote?
Ready for the question's been called?
One more
Go
question.
ahead.
Council, can we require a muffler on those things from the noise?
We have a noise ordinance.
Because they are loud. I mean, you could be in your house at like 11 o'clock at night and all you hear is
Adding noise provisions to this won't do anything more than the noise ordinance we already have, so we're amending to say $500 annual fee. Right?
Yeah.
Somebody needs to make that amendment.
All right, I'd ask for a motion to amend the main motion to add.
I make a motion to amend the main motion for it to be $500 annually as a registration fee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion on the amendment only. Any discussion on the amendment? Madam Clerk, call the roll on the amendment.
All right, Trustee DeVore made a motion to amend the main motion to set the annual registration fee at $500. Trustee Marfil seconded. Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Marfil?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right. Back to the main motion as amended. Madam Clerk, call the roll on that.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Marfil?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Next is approval of purchase of a backhoe from Martin Equipment in the amount of $127,900. Trustee Marfel, I'd ask for motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve purchase of a backhoe.
And a second? All right, go back to you, Dave.
Okay, this is for a John Deere backhoe, 2021. Total price is $127,900. That includes a trade-in of an old tractor, and then it also includes the purchase of a hydraulic hammer for the new backhoe.
Questions?
We kind of already talked about this, right? Yeah.
Yeah, last meeting. Yep, it's in the budget. It's part of the capital improvement plan for equipment. Yep. Definitely needed.
Anyone else? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Marfel?
Aye.
Trustee Wiggington?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Next, approval of payment to d and D Sweeping in the amount of $42,551 for 2021 MFT spray patching. Trustee Marfel, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
In a second. Go ahead, Trustee
This is
Marfel.
for $42,551 for the spray patching project, which was completed on June 17th. Yeah, we talked about this last meeting as well.
Questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Marfel?
Aye.
Trustee Wiggington?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Next, approval for the use of Tower Park on Tuesday, August 3rd, 2021, for Express Employment Professionals Job Fair. Trustee Weisenberg, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
Sure, I move to approve the use of Tower Park on Tuesday, August 3rd for an Express Employment Professional Job Fair.
And a second? Catherine, you want to come up and please?
I've got Zach here with me from Phoenix Automotive Coatings and Details. Mayor Phelan, Chief Sutton, Board of Trustees, thank you again for hearing us. So as you know, the weather was not in our favor on June 24th, so we did get rained out. A lot of our vendors backed out. So we are hoping that August 3rd will have a better turnout. I do have 2, possibly 3 vendors lined up. Wilson's Concessions, Saturday Morning Tea, and Diggity Dogs may be joining us. Zach here has partnered with us and offered a really great deal that I'll let him tell you about a little bit about his business and what he's offering us.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zach Espinoza. I'm co-owner operator of Phoenix Automotive Detailing Coatings here in Peoria. I've known Katie for a very long time, and as you all know, with the COVID and everything else going on, and the layoffs and so on and so forth, and September, those extra payments are going to be gone. So we partnered up together to give people that are looking for work an incentive to get a job and keep that job for 90 days. At the end of that 90 days, our company is going to offer those people a free interior or exterior detail on their vehicle, as saying thank you, we're putting Peoria back to work, and so on and so forth. And I also like to add that on August 3rd, I'd like to have approval to have 2 vehicles on site, one displaying what our ceramic coatings look like on a vehicle, and one that will be half detailed. So you have like a before and after effect right before your eyes.
Questions?
Will these be along Prospect, or you'll just wait for Chief Sutton to help you decide or where they would be located? The vehicles I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was going to get with Chief after the meeting and discuss the best layout for that, if there would be a possibility for putting one up here in the Tower Park itself, or if just the street. So, yeah, I'd planned on contacting him after we got approval.
Anyone else? Okay, Madam Clerk.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Marfel?
Aye.
Trustee Wiggington?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
Thank you for being here tonight. That passes. Good luck with your event.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Next is approval for the use of Tower Park on Saturday, October 9th, 2021 for Bike Your Way for MS. Trustee Weisenberg, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
Thanks, Mayor. I move to approve the use of Tower Park on Saturday, October 9th for the bike, you're fine, for the Bike Your Way for MS.
Second?
All right. Anything, Trustee Weisenberg? I think we heard from those folks tonight. Anything else?
I have one question. What do we need to do to be able to give away free beer out here?
Have a liquor license.
Any other questions that you need from us?
Is that a serious question?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
all right. Well,
Left Hand Brewery would like to be giving away beer.
I think you're going to have liability insurance.
Yeah, we would, we'll need to talk about that and get back to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, then there would be issues of who's serving it and the audience, and you'd be responsible for making sure IDs were checked. Am I missing anything, Chief Sutton?
Yeah, I mean, do we get tickets? I mean, is it possible?
Everything's possible if
Yeah.
the police department,
There's a lot of hoops to jump through, though. It's not a simple thing.
if the police department and lawyers agree, then.
I'll meet with council and contact you, Brian. Yeah.
Any other discussion on this? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazan?
Aye.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, that passes. All right.
Thank you.
Hopefully, nobody drives home from your event if you hand out beer on a gas-powered bike. Next is approval. Yes.
Except that one enthusiast.
All right. I can see the finish line. Next is approval of a playground bid for Playground Boss not to exceed $31,123. Trustee Weisenberg, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
Thanks, Mayor. I move to approve the bid from Playground Boss not to exceed $31,123.
Second?
All right, Trustee Weisenberg, go ahead.
So we've done a lot of work on this. Thanks, Mr. Casey and Chief Sutton. We put it out for bid. I think we collected, I think it was 4 bids. One was as high as just shy of $95,000 for Lions Park. So,
It's motorized.
so this was the lowest bid. And we have some other work we need to do. We need new engineered wood fiber, which is the wood chips. And we're going with those over sand, so that's ADA compliant, because it's really hard to use a wheelchair in sand. And we had gotten several donations from the community, one the VFW, and one of the requirements was they wanted ADA equipment. So we're working that into the project. So Playground Boss, they're out of Texas. They were the cheapest bid that we got. Any questions?
So which one are you recommending we go with? You got, what, 3 prices here?
It was the Playground Boss one. I don't know what you put in the packet.
You going with the 31?
Giggle Hill?
No, it was not Giggle Hill. So it was.
That's Giggle Hill.
Jungle?
So it was the one that was.
Chimp Champ?
Yep, Chip Champ. No, it was actually,
Okay.
it was actually the Jungle Gym one.
Okay.
Are we're paying for all of it, like all of the remodel of the playground equipment?
Yeah, so to avoid, the Lions Club isn't tax exempt, so they donated their money to us. The VFW donated to the Lions Club, the Lions Club then donated the lion's share to us. And so we're actually going to make the purchase of it.
Okay, so how much have we already fundraised for this?
We've already, I think this board previously put in $500, and I know the township, Richwoods Township put in $500.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
And then we budgeted 10,000. And then we were given 10,000 by the VFW. Yeah, it was 10. And then the Lions Club had an original 6,000, and then they've since raised some more money. So I think they have $4,000 or $5,000 more dollars.
Okay.
I have a quick question. I don't want to prolong you, but could you just address the pavilion Does this take care of the pavilion?
This doesn't do anything with the pavilion.
Okay.
This is just the playground equipment.
Yeah, okay, so the pavilion is another issue that's.
That's another issue.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it's
that-
a structurally.
Right.
Okay.
And we can talk about that,
Okay.
trustee, because I
Yeah,
might
you
want
and I'll
to
talk about that this week.
start doing the, some meetings regarding
Okay.
parks and playgrounds.
I know you've reached out to me.
Yeah, we've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
But what I found out is not cheap. I was surprised at the $94,900 bid that we opened up here. It's not cheap, and the installation is almost like 40% of the cost of the equipment. So unless Mike and Chris want to become certified playground installers. Just joking, you guys got enough on your plate. But no, we've been working on this for some time. I think we actually started when Mary Schlink requested the $500. She's since passed away. Her husband is heading it with the Lions Club. So yeah, I think we've done our due diligence here. We got the best price we could get, so.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Any questions? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Marfil?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any miscellaneous business come before the board? Hearing none, we would be at payment of the bills. I would ask for a motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any question on the motion or question on any of the bills? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Marfil?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, the bills are paid. Next, we would be at the treasurer's report.
All right. As of the end of June, in the village-controlled account, there was $4,410,601.08. In the water-controlled accounts, there was $1,602,612.47.
All right, those are some pretty significant numbers. Mr. Administrator, you have any comment on the numbers of the report?
Well, I'll say we've come a long way in 3 years. I think we're all sitting up at this table, and those numbers didn't look like that. So it's been a team effort. I want to applaud the board, the administration, the department heads for tightening their belt. It's really been a team effort, but the numbers speak for themselves, so we're in really good shape. And we're just coming out of a pandemic, so I'm really looking forward to what the future looks like, especially with all the new development on Ward Drive. I think we're going to fast forward here a year, and we're going to be probably repeating the same thing. So again, I appreciate everybody's support and all the hard work they've done the last few years on this.
All right, you've heard the treasurer's report. I would ask for a motion to approve that.
I make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Marfil?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right. Treasurer's report is accepted. Next, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, there's a motion to adjourn and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it.